Advanced Chords Practice Routine. Hello friends, and welcome back to Swiftlessons for an Advanced Chords Practice Routine. In today's session, I'm going to be sharing with you a jazzy chord progression that makes use of major sevenths, diminished passing chords, minor sevenths, dominant sevenths, and also dominant 7 add 13 chords. We're going to get started learning each of these chords one by one, and then we're going to move on to applying a basic arpeggio pattern to form a complete practice routine. You can follow along using my tab at patreon.com/swiftlessons, support the channel there, and gain access to a ton of extra resources for all my popular YouTube guitar lessons. Now, let's get started. Okay, a close look at the fretboard, getting started with section 1 of this lesson. Here we're going to be learning a handful of advanced jazzy chord shapes in the context of a very useful progression. Now this is applied learning, so hopefully learning this in a pattern will allow you to retain the information a little bit better. Okay, getting started with our first chord shape, it's going to be a C major 7 chord rooted off of the A string. Okay, everything that we're going to be learning today is in the key of C, so this is our 1 chord. Alright, so I'm barring the 3rd fret, A string to the high E string. Alright, my thumb's nice and low so I can get that nice straight bar. And then I'm going to grab the 5th fret of the D string, my middle finger on the 4th fret G string, and my pinkies here on the 5th fret of the B string. Put it all together and we have C major 7, one of the most common grips for a C major 7 chord. Okay, next we're going to have a passing chord. This is a great way to get to the 2 chord, which in this key would be a D minor 7 chord. Alright, so it's going to be a passing chord between C major 7 and D minor 7 that we're calling C sharp diminished 7, or it could also be called C sharp full diminished. Okay, so it looks and sounds like this. In context. Alright, just kind of a walk up there. Alright, I've got the 4th fret of the A string. It's my middle finger. I've got the 5th fret of the D string. I have the index finger on the 3rd fret of the G string. And I also have the pinky here on the 5th fret of the B string. Okay, so a full diminished chord. Now sometimes to make matters easier for myself, I like to just bar with the index finger, which I already had for the C major 7 chord. Okay, so it's just a matter of adjusting the hand. Alright, so far we had the C major 7, a passing chord, C sharp diminished. Okay, now moving on to the next chord, we're walking up to it. A D minor 7 chord shape. Now this one is an essential chord, especially if you're into blues, jazz, R&B. Alright, so we have a bar on the 5th fret, A string to the high E string. I'm going to have the 7th fret of the D string, and my middle finger on the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, notice how my elbow is going inside and my thumb is way down here at the bottom of the neck. That's allowing me to get nice clean bar chord sounds. Okay, so now we have the 1 chord going up to the 2 chord with a passing chord in between. Okay, so we have the 1, we have the passing chord, we have the 2. Now we're going up to the 5 chord in the key of C, which is G7. We're going to play it as if we're playing a C7 chord shape, but transposed to the key of G. So I've got the 10th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D string, the pinky there on the 10th fret G, and then also the 8th fret of the B string. A G7 chord shape. That's a great place to stop and practice, just going through those changes. Okay, so many songs use that exact same pattern. So many ways you can strum it. Alright. Okay, next, we're going to the minor 3 chord in the key of C. Let's go up 3 notes in the major scale key of C. Do, re, mi. There it is, an E note. We're going to make it into an E minor 7 chord. It's the exact same shape that you had for the D minor 7, just up a whole step. Okay, so I'm barring the 7th fret. I've got the 9th fret D and the 8th fret B. E minor 7. Okay, so far we have C major 7, C sharp full diminished. We've got the D minor 7. We've got the G7. We've got the E minor 7. Alright, next, we're going to a very cool way of playing an A dominant 7 chord shape. Okay, so my thumb is wrapped around the 5th fret of the low E string. Then I'm just going to set up this little grip here. Alright, my index finger on the 5th fret of the D string. My middle finger, 5th fret B. And then right in between, up 1 fret, the 6th fret of the G string with the ring finger. Alright, blocking the A string, and also the high E string for an A7 chord shape. Next, we're going to go to a different voicing of the D minor 7 chord. Looks and sounds like this. Okay, now you could just play the kind of more common version of the chord, but this is such a really lovely voicing of the D minor 7 chord that I think that everybody should at least attempt to learn. Okay, so I've got my middle finger on the 5th fret of the A string, index finger, 3rd fret D string. That's a stretch that requires a little bit of practice. All right, we've got the 5th fret of the G string with the ring finger, and the pinky is on the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, it's also very commonly played as a minor 9. Alright, 2 very cool chords to know. Alright, but we're going to be using the straight minor 7 version of it with the pinky here on the 6th fret. Okay, you add that into the equation and we've got C major 7, C sharp full diminished, D minor 7, G7, E minor 7, A7, a funky version of the D minor 7. Alright, just 2 more grips to learn. We're going to go to a G7 add 13. Alright, one of my favorite chords to play. It's really good for the 5 chord in this key. Okay, so we've got the 3rd fret of the low E string. We've got the 3rd fret of the D string. That's that dominant 7. Alright, we've got the major 3rd of the chord right there on the 4th fret of the G string. And we've got the 13th note of the scale, 2nd octave of the major scale in G, on the 5th fret of the B string. Okay, so the intervals in this chord, it's really good to know. The 1, the flat 7, the 3rd, and the 13. A G7 add 13 chord sets up the resolve back to C major 7. You could play the chord that we started with, but I'm going to opt for a different voicing rooted off of the low E string. Okay, another really common way of playing a major 7 chord shape. Everybody's got to learn this. We've got the 8th fret of the low E. We've got the 9th fret of the D string, 9th fret G string. It's my ring finger and pinky. And I've got the 8th fret of the B string. It's kind of like playing an E minor chord, but with a C in the bass. Okay, so a C major 7 chord shape. A string is muted, and so is the high E string. Okay, so now you've just learned some of the most common advanced chords that we have in jazz music and R&B and blues. So we've got the C major 7, we've got the diminished chord, we've got the D minor 7, a G dominant 7 chord shape, we've got the E minor 7, we've got the A7, we've got the D minor 7, oh, we're going to change our grip, the G7 add 13, and finally resolve back to C major 7. Now the really cool thing about learning all these shapes is they're completely movable. So, by using this A string rooted major 7 chord, you've just learned how to play every single major 7 chord shape in the book. Alright, whatever note you have on the A string is the key you're playing it in. Okay, so if I put it here on the 10th fret, for example, it's a G major 7 chord shape. Okay, the same can be said for this A rooted diminished chord, this A rooted minor 7 chord shape. All right, we're already using it twice in this progression. The same can be said for this very cool thumbed version of the dominant 7, and also the dominant 7 add 13, and this major 7 here that we completed our progression with. So very, very valuable tools for composition and for finding interesting voicings when you're coming up with your own renditions of popular songs. Okay, very good everybody. Practice those chord shapes very, very slow. Get them into your muscle memory. If you want to learn to accelerate the process of learning advanced chord shapes, you can click this card right up here at the top corner and I can share some tips with you. Okay, now, if you're ready for it, we're going to take those chords and we're going to apply a basic arpeggio practice routine. So this is kind of a practice routine that is going to allow you to see where you are in your development in terms of being able to play these chords cleanly and quickly. Okay, so getting started with the C major 7 chord, the arpeggio pattern, we're going to use hybrid picking. The pick goes to the A string, the D string, the G string, and then the middle finger plucks the final string on the B string. We're going to give it a 16th note triplet feel, which sounds like this. You could do the same thing to the diminished chord. All right, right to the minor 7, D minor 7, and to the G dominant 7. Also the E minor 7. So all those chords can be picked the exact same way because they're all rooted off of the A string. You put them together and we have real slow. Okay, if you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, now switching to an E rooted chord. It's going to be that A dominant 7 chord. We're going to play. Pick on the low E string, skipping the A string, going straight to the D string, then to the G string, and then grabbing again the B string with the middle finger. After that, we're back to an A rooted chord, the D minor 7, with this more advanced grip. All right, you know how to arpeggiate that. Then we're back to E rooted chords, G7 add 13. Once again, E string, D string, G string, B string. All right, from there we're back to home base with the C major 7 chord shape, where we're going to apply a brush stroke, dragging the pick through the strings, and then grabbing the B string with the middle finger. Okay, it's kind of like a slow strum. Okay, but a great way to end a tune. Okay, you put all that together and we have. Alright friends, thanks so much for checking out this advanced chords practice routine. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, big thanks to my supporters at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Hope you're enjoying all those extra resources. And thanks to you guys, I got many more lessons coming up. So keep checking in, please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.